I try to like really see the potential in a lot of people and really just be like, okay, cool. Like I can hear that like they're rough around the edges here, but like I can totally fix this and help them. So that's like I have a better time. Like I like the whole process of like turning, shit to gold ultimately. Like, and that's kind of the, unique thing is like a lot of these bands that I'll record, like people will hear the record and then they'll go see them live and they're like, man, that band sucked live. It's like, yeah, well, they weren't that great in the studio, but I had to like, I did what I did to like make them have a product that was really good to be able to sell, like it's very rare that like I have these like people come into the studio and just be like, Jesus Christ, you're the most phenomenal musician I've ever heard in my life. Let me just put up a microphone and you just perform and like that's the record, like it's a lot of like manipulating and a lot of like coaching and a lot of like editing on my end that's like actually making the end result the thing that's like phenomenal, so and I really enjoy that process. I really enjoy like actually like editing drums and I enjoy editing vocals and like every single transient that exists on my record I have edited by hand, placed on time. Everything is grid edited, everything is quantized. Like there is no natural performance in anything I do. Like even phenomenal drummers like Thomas Bridgen, I'm just like editing every single part of him and being like, hey man, I need you to not play your kick drum for this part because like you're flamming this part between your snare and we can make it better if you don't play the kick. And he's like, what? You don't want me to play the kick? Like who's like, I've never done this in my life. It's like, trust me, like I do, I like to make things
Wow.
perfect. I like to
Yeah.
like make, like, I like to Photoshop the shit out of my records, you know what I mean? And like really just make these like phenomenal things that like, when I listen back, I just hear as like, wow, that's like this magical thing. How is that so perfect? It's too good to be true because it is, like
Yeah.
I love that process. So like,
You're taking the studio
sometimes
and like milking it for everything that it's worth, basically.
absolutely. I mean, the studio is my favorite instrument that I own. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
can do anything I want with it. So yeah, like I mean, it's so I'll work with a lot of artists that it's like they'll they're rough around the edges, but we can kind of nudge them into there. But then I'll work with some other artists where it's like, okay, great, we have like a week to do vocals, and then it's like we're a day into doing vocals, and I'm 1,200 takes into doing vocals, and I'm only 1/3 of the way through the song, and I like have an hour left in the day, and I'm just like Jesus Christ, this is gonna suck. You know what I mean? Like this is like so. It kind of really like that's the unfortunate part is like you don't really know what you're gonna get, and you don't know how people are gonna perform or like how talented they're gonna be, and like what to
Yeah.
do with it. So like
Yeah.
there's I play a lot of guitar on records. I play a lot of bass, play a lot of drums. Like I step in and I try to like
Yeah.
take the reins whenever I need to, which like used to be demoralizing to a lot of people, but like now it's kind of like I'm kind of known for that. So some people are just like, whatever, man, you take the guitar. If you can play it better than me, then you just play it. It's like, and that's the thing too, is like, a lot of these like fragile ego guys who just like, what do you mean I can't play the part? It's like, hey man, like I'm trying to be your best friend and make your record for your budget within the time that we have. Like, let me help you by just doing this for you. So like it takes a level of like maturity and like experience for some people to really like understand and appreciate that that's happening as opposed to like
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
offended and like demoralized by it. But yeah, so it's like I I'm really willing to work with anyone, and like
Yeah.
it's really like if I hear like a demo that I think is like decently cool, like I can really like hear the potential. And I think that's kind of like oddly one of my like
Mm.
biggest flaws in a way is like I see I see the potential so clear. Like I could see like point A to point B like absolutely perfectly. And like
Mm.
most of my artists like actually really don't even see point B and don't even envision that for themselves sometimes. So like we'll be combative and like have some combative times where like I'm the one who's really like pushing these people to become the best versions of themselves, and they're just like,
Yeah.
I just want
That's
to be in a
so
band,
hard.
as opposed to like, yeah, I'm not trying to make the best record of all time, man. I
Yeah.
just like want my band to like tour, and I'm just like, all right, well, I want this to be like looked at as one of the best records I've ever done. Like ideally, like the record that I do today is a record that you'll say to me like, hey man, I listened to that new record that you did and that's definitely the best thing you've ever done. You know what I mean? Like that's the goal, is I want today's work to encapsulate everything I've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, it's like yeah, that's our reputation also. It's like
Yeah,
every record that puts out is like your name, and that's important. And also, yeah, just getting the art better every single time. And yeah,
yeah,
it's funny. It is a really funny phenomenon to care about the record more than the artist. And that has happened to
yeah.
me
That's
many times actually.
yeah, that's
more
the
more
the
times than I
biggest
care to
issue.
admit.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, 90% of the time I'm the guy in the room who like has the most emotional like attachment to the record, and that's really demoralizing a lot of the time. It's like, why do I care so much about your music and you don't even care about this? Like, I did a record for a guy like
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. It was like right before my child was born. Like, he had a low budget and he was just like he's the only guy. It's just like a solo project. And like, I was playing guitar, playing bass, like playing drums, like doing everything, and like uh, putting in so much time for his record. And I don't think the record's even going to come out. I don't even think he's going to tour on it. And it's like, I put in like months of my life to like make that record, and like my assistants all cared about it, and we all just like put in so much effort, and like all of us cared way more about the record than he did. And that's just like so demoralizing. Like, what's the like, and it's hard to like kind of come back from that and be like, okay, well, next record, let's do the same thing again. It's like it's hard to kind of like
Yeah.
stay fresh and stay positive about that, and not let those experiences like make me be bitter and jaded and be like, well, whatever, man, last time I did a record no one cared, so like I'm not going to care about this record and I'm just going to shit it out. Like, that's not why I make
So
records, you know what I mean? Like,
why are you spending so much money to hire me to help you make this record if you don't care
yeah,
that much about it, right?
exactly,
Like
exactly.
this is our passion, so it inevitably comes that passion comes through, and maybe you're also a bit of a perfectionist like I am, and like you want to
Yeah,
make it sound as good as you can,
yeah,
and then it's like, okay, so you're the one spending the money, right? Like this is
yeah,
your
exactly.
investment.
Yeah, like unfortunately, like it's unfortunate to admit, but like my career would have been more successful if I simply did not care as much as I do.